Stop. This message could save you from investing your precious time into a true crime story that goes nowhere. Avoid that disappointment. You need True Crime Feed Podcast. Unlimited premium true crime curated for you. Find out about a female serial dater turned serial killer. The truth about the DARE program. Bizarre black markets, political murder plots, and a school for troubled teens so horrific it could be a Stephen King novel. True Crime Feed sifts through the archives from the past decade to select the best cases and gives you a quick overview sprinkled with a teensy bit of humor. Plus, a weekly top 3 power ranking for shows currently trending. And lets you know what shows to send down your podcast queue trapdoor. You know you want those thrill chills, so come and get them. Subscribe to True Crime Feed. That's True Crime FEED wherever you get your podcasts.
Ghosty fam, Amy here. Welcome to The Activity Continues, a podcast where 3 soul friends talk about all things paranormal. Ghosts, hauntings, psychics, movies and TV shows, especially The Dead Files, and other spooky and spooky adjacent things as well. We also like to interview people in the paranormal community, as well as past Dead Files clients and other interesting people. Sometimes we even tell your stories. We hope you enjoy the show. Hi, Ghosty fam. Amy here. Welcome to the 100th episode of The Activity Continues. Today, we are recording from my home. If you are watching the video version, you can see that. My best Vanna White. This is the whole house. It's only 100 square feet.
Yeah. They got a real good deal on it.
Yeah, we really did. It's a good location. That's what they say.
Location.
Exactly. So we got new mics. If you're looking at the video, you can see they're all pretty and they have colors and they have knobs and twiddly twiddles and everything.
I love things with knobs.
I know. So new software we're using. So
we've really upped our game.
What could go wrong?
Nothing.
Right?
Not
what
a
could go
thing.
wrong?
And if it is, it's obviously paranormal.
Obviously. I do have incense burning back here.
It does smell delightful in here.
We should be okay. So please say hello to Megan, who's going to tell you what we are doing this week.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us this week. We are so excited for the 100th episode. We're just flabbergasted that we made it this far.
You know, most podcasts that start don't make it past 7 episodes.
Well, we are amazing.
Yeah.
And I say that with all modesty.
Yeah.
Because...
Well, and we owe a lot to the people who actually download our episode.
Oh my God.
I was going to say there's a little bit of chutzpah behind all of this and just being able to be like, we're just going to power through.
Yeah. So thank you, everybody, for being with us for 100 episodes. We really appreciate it. Today, we are going to talk about the Dead Files episode called Family Curse. It's from season 2. It's episode 7 on Max and on Discovery Plus.
Is it? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go on demand, it's episode 5.
So it's very consistent is what we're saying. It originally aired December 21st, 2012. That is 13. Nope. Hang on. Math. 11 years ago. I don't know where I got 13. It's not 13. It was 11 years ago. Math. Also, please say hello to AP, who has a content warning.
Hey, everyone. Yeah, definitely excited to celebrate, especially these 2 ladies who have put in a lot of effort to get to 100. I joined in.
Amy. I literally just
I joined in a little late, but I'm excited to be here with everyone and to celebrate the 100th episode.
I told her she was grandfathered in, so.
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
It's your show now, too.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you.
It's the Amy, Megan, Amy sandwich.
That's right.
Oh, that's our spinoff podcast.
The Ama.
Ama.
Amy.
Depends on if you want a Minnesotan accent on that and where you want to put the accentuation.
Oh, for sure.
We are also enjoying a lovely, fresh and delicious cocktail that Skeptic Greg made for us. It is a lovely French 75. So if you want to pause for a moment and go whip yourself up one, highly recommend
Highly recommend. And I'm not a big drinker, but
no, but it doesn't taste super boozy, right?
No, this is I'm like already getting a buzz, and so Megan might get real friendly.
Oh,
yay! Because I'm really so standoffish normally. So.
I know. You're really tough nut to crack.
She's so shy, she never talks.
Yeah.
Stoic.
Yeah.
That's how people describe me. Stoic.
Yep.
It's a word.
Yep. Absolutely.
It is a word. It is not usually in the vocabulary I describe Megan in.
No.
It should not be. Only if it's opposite day. I'm so sorry.
I should also note that it is a Friday and we've all had a long week of being inside constantly.
It's so
because it's been
cold.
So cold. So we are recording mid-January here, and this will be out in the future. Anyways, let me get to the content warning, then we can just jump right in, everyone.
Let me just bring it down.
Yeah, this episode has got a lot of shit.
The episode, and if you haven't,
good thing I'm strong.
Yeah.
You can carry it.
I carry, just like I carry the show. Okay.
I meant, but
I'm kidding.
So this was definitely a big episode with suicide that has both firearm and hanging. I will also say that I don't know if this was purposeful or if this was actually something that was just there, but there is a rope that is hanging in the barn. So if you have not watched that, this is that is a trigger for some people. And so I wanted to just call that out. Obviously also there is murder, child death in history, and a demon child? Question mark?
I mean, some could argue all children are demons.
And this is coming from the mother.
When I wrote something about that in my notes, and I wrote something about a demon child, and I was like, aren't they all?
Are they all? If they're three, they are. And I'm not traumatized by my 3-year-old right now.
Did we want to first, before we started the episode, talk about our lovely interview with Laura?
Yes. Okay, you guys, if you have not heard our last episode, we have decided that we're going to air them in order. We were thinking about saving our interview with Laura for our 100th episode, but then we get to, I don't know if you've noticed, but we go off on tangents and off the rails a little bit sometimes. And
I noticed that.
Yeah, just sometimes.
Okay. Well, it's rare.
All the time.
It's rare.
But I was afraid that if we pretended like that episode hadn't happened yet, that we would be like, oh my God, like Laura said, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
So I thought it's easier just run them in order. So if you have not heard Laura's episode, please go back and listen.
Phenomenal. She's a delight.
Amazing.
Yes.
We all fell in love, and she's going to come visit us and hang out with us, and I can't wait. We're going to take her to Kramarczuk's.
I found her on Instagram, so I followed her.
Oh, yeah. I'll put all her stuff in there. Yeah. She was great. She was great.
Phenomenal.
But she has some tea, you guys. Some
it is
Dead Files
like
tea.
It was like the Boston Tea Party of Dead Files episodes. Like,
it was really
so buckle in and get your pearls because you're going to be clutching them.
Yeah.
With some of the bombs she drops.
Yeah. Yeah. And I want to say a lot of it is like the general stuff that she talked about was stuff we had already sort of assumed or
figured out,
thought possibly this was happening. This is behind the scenes kind of stuff I'm talking about. Yeah. But she does the first thing she says when we started is basically that her episode was a complete shit show and that they misled us as viewers
horribly to the point where none of the questions that any of us had actually written we asked because they weren't relevant. As soon as she opened her mouth and was like, here's the tea, we're like, oh fuck,
we're like, oh shit, I have been thinking a whole different thing about this family the whole time.
And absolutely.
And I was really pissed because it really made me question the integrity of the show.
Absolutely.
Which pisses me off because I know Amy she believes in it and she's doing this to help people.
Right.
And the spin that they put on it just really made me mad.
Yeah. And it's all production. I mean, it's not Amy, it's not Steve.
No. No.
It's the people who put the thing together, who edit it the way they do.
It's not the family. It's
It makes me like want to, as we look back at some of them. However, hers was from season 4, so probably an entire turnover of people since then.
Of course. I mean, episodes
even looking at like, there was a couple episodes that we covered in the summer as we followed along with the season that I'm like, did we misjudge? Like, I think about the one in Colorado with the dad who is the paranormal investigator.
Yes.
We had
Jeb.
Was that shown?
Was it Job?
Job. Was that
so
one
confident.
shown differently because we all had guttural reactions to what was going on.
And then I reached out to him and he was real like hesitant to come on the show. And then I think he must have listened to our episode. And then he said, I don't remember how we left. We left it as I said, okay, if you change your mind and you want to come on, you're welcome to come on. And then I thought later, maybe we don't even want him to because he seems like, he was weird about it and all that. But now I'm like, what if they edited his episode
to make him
look like a tool?
Yeah.
Because what we're talking about now, so you've already had your warning that spoilers are coming from our episode with Laura. So
yeah.
Oh yeah.
When they talked about right away. Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
Sorry, if you don't want to hear spoilers, shut it off.
Go back and listen to that episode and watch that one.
Yep.
Before you listen to this one, because we are going to be talking about the stuff that she talked about.
All right. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They made her ex-husband now, look like a racist.
Yep.
Yeah. And the grandfather.
And the grandfather
for
and the whole family, they made them out to be racist sons of bitches.
We were sure the grandfather was in the KKK based on that.
Based on the way they cut the episode.
Yep.
And the way that her ex-husband was talking
she's
about.
Still good friends with.
Because they're best friends still.
Because, again, the way that it made it seem, we knew that they were no longer together. And so it was like, and Amy was like, she says she's got some really interesting stuff that she wants to clear up. And we're like, ooh, what's this about? Like,
because the episode made him look like a fucking
because it made him
prick.
Look terrible. Yep. And Chris, you got screwed over on this.
You did, buddy.
And it makes me, again, rethink about some of those. I do think that there are some people, and one episode that we never release, I do think that they tried to cut as much as they could.
The lost episode. No.
But there are ones now that you go back and you're jaded.
Yeah.
You're looking at it through a whole nother lens of like, how was this cut? And
like the way that they present it, is that actually what happened? Because we all went into this interview with Laura just hating the grandfather.
Yep.
Hating Chris.
Yep.
Thinking they're both pieces of shit.
Well, and knowing that they were divorced, I assumed that was why.
Yes. Come to find out, you guys, the grandfather was one of the first interracial marriages of their town.
In 1991.
Yeah.
My brother was born in 1990.
That's so everything that when they said, your grandfather is hanging on because of how people were treated. You think, and I thought, and we thought it was because, he was a racist piece of shit and he's regretting his decisions.
Yep.
No,
not at all.
How people were treated by others.
Yep. Yeah. And it was
not by him.
And Laura mentioned that Chris's grandfather didn't get to be a part of his life a lot growing up because of the stigma related to his grandfather.
And the interracial marriage. Gasp.
Yep. And, you think about those things. Like if you have a close relationship with your grandparents, what if that happened? Mm-hmm. But, you think about the way that things were cut. And at one point he's like, I don't want to talk about that because people are still living. We all are assuming that it's people that are still connected to KKK.
Exactly.
No, it's about his grandmother.
Yeah.
His parents and his grandmother who are still alive.
Who's still alive. Yeah.
Like
it was, I left that interview with Laura so grateful that she came on.
So grateful that
she
did.
And cleared up the air because we thought his grandfather was just a racist piece of shit.
Right.
Turns out he was the exact opposite.
Yeah.
But the way that they edited it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
real bad.
Thank God we didn't go in there guns a-blazing with Chris.
Oh, yeah.
But that was part of our, we kind of had the game plan of let's let Laura lead this.
And I said, you run this, you decide what we're going to talk about and what we're not, because I was afraid that it was going to get into her husband and his family being a bunch of racist shits. And it's not.
They're still like the best of friends. They chat all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And he does not live in the house anymore.
Yep. And he knew she was coming on to our podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure she told him all about it afterwards. And I'm sure he'll listen to it.
How delightful we are, Laura.
I'll tell her to be sure to listen to this one too, where we decompress from all of that.
I loved her. She
was great.
We have not. I will say we haven't interviewed anybody that I haven't loved, but she was.
We have
so
interviewed some
real.
amazing
Like
people.
she was just real.
She was,
like she's like, look, this is how it is. And these are my thoughts. And if you don't agree, too fucking bad.
Yeah.
Well, so I mentioned, I think, to you guys in our chat too, but what I appreciated about Laura's episode as well is she looked like a normal person who was just like in her normal work clothes, or because she's a stylist. She's a hairstylist.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, she's beautiful.
But
she wasn't, like
beautiful.
To me, we've had some that have come on and they've got lots of makeup on. They went to the salon.
In the episode. In the episode.
Not on our show.
No. In the episodes, yes.
Oh, yeah.
To be clear, we've
Dressed to the nines.
We've seen this where like they've got the hot red lip, just all this stuff, which I can completely understand.
Oh, I would do it. I would 100% do it.
Yeah.
But
we got to pay this turd. You know what I mean? Like,
but they're
it's only so much polish you can put on, but we're going to give it our college try.
And this is us ignoring what Megan has to say about herself. And,
I'll just
I laughed because it's a joke. She's pretty.
It's overall
she was real.
Yeah.
It was just being like a normal person, and you feel like sometimes you feel like in conversations that it's forced, and you have to kind of go through the last couple episodes or ones that we've had with Tony, with Dawn, with Laura. It's all just felt like just great connection, great flow. And shout out to Dawn as well, because she put some great things out there about us. She's
so sweet.
She is so, and I still listen to her every day on the radio. Yeah. And there's sometimes I'm just like, oh, Dawn. Like she was commenting about she has a guy who comments in her Instagram posts, like all her posts all the time. Sounds like her pervy ghost friend.
Oh no.
But as an actual human being.
As a human, yeah.
Yeah.
Who was the name of the woman who had the scissors that we interviewed?
That's Tony.
Okay, good. I wanted to make sure we touched on that one.
Yeah, she was great. I missed half of that one because I had to go rescue my mother, who got herself
the toddler with the credit card.
The toddler with the credit card.
I will say that Laura she was
awesome.
Like we would be friends in real life.
Absolutely.
On my end, at least. On her end, she's probably like, no.
No, I thought so too, when we were like, oh, I feel like we always invite people to come back on.
And she's like,
and I don't want people to think that we're like that. We do that to everybody, but we do because we just like everybody.
We do because we love everybody. Yeah. Like we're not just doing it because we're.
You will know if we don't gel with somebody.
Yeah,
yeah. I'm sure it'll be apparent.
But no, she was
so cool. And then she texted me later.
Oh, you just went
Did
past
I miss it?
Yep.
Yeah. She texted me later and she's like, I am totally going to come and hang out with you guys.
One more.
Two more.
One more. There you go.
Okay. How to get the right color. Not that you can tell. You can't see it in there.
And she's just, oh my God, she's gorgeous.
Great. Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
She's great.
I just hate her. But I love her.
I hate her, but I love her.
No, so please go listen to that episode because she was phenomenal. Yep. She was great.
Yep.
And definitely like opens our eyes as we start watching more of these episodes, as we go through them. I mean, we all have the logic and skeptic.
Do we?
Megan, not so much.
No, we all. Some of us to different degrees.
I'm zero.
She
0 degrees.
Everything.
I do believe everything.
Amy is very what do you call it? What brain?
Logic brain. She's logic brain.
And then I am
a happy medium.
But I want to believe everything like Megan does, but I also go, really? Like Amy does. Also, so I'm right in the middle.
My background is science. And so like that's where like I like to test theories and test things out.
Right. And I do too.
And that's why I went into science, is because I like understanding how things work and where things connect. And that's why some of you will probably be like, like Amy's such a bitch. All she does is like poke holes in everything. And I've got to find a way to explain it.
If you are somebody who pokes holes in everything, and then there's something that you cannot poke a hole in,
correct,
that just gives it so much more validation.
So,
great. All right. I suppose we should get into this now.
The first note that I have is, can we stop saying they seem so happy when people die by suicide?
Yeah.
Can we stop that?
Oh, yeah. No one saw it coming.
That's the point.
Yeah.
That's the point. Like, they're like Twitch, the lead singer from Linkin Park.
My friend's husband, I had been messaging with the day before.
Yes.
Really?
Yep. And he was telling me plans about
exactly
what they were going to do with his kids' birthdays and spring break and
people who die by suicide are not going to tell you on the outside.
On
of course
Facebook,
because they don't want you to stop them.
He was interested in attending
because they think the world will be better off without them.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so stop saying they seem so happy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, recognize that they weren't, that there's mental trauma, mental, issues that went unresolved because God forbid we bring attention to mental health.
Right.
Yep.
That was the first thing that made me really mad in this episode. Was like, stop saying that.
I thought it was really weird.
And then Steve is like, 9 out of 10. You saw it coming.
Did you have a recap of this episode?
I wrote one.
No.
Would you like to read it?
I just wrote my notes.
Here, I will give you.
We're supposed to do a recap.
No, because
I misunderstood the assignment. I'm sorry.
Okay, Megan's going to read the overview, we call it. Just read this one.
Don't drink, friends. It's not good.
I am absolutely.
Please do your traumatic reading now.
Traumatic?
I mean, if I read it, it could be either or.
It may be
both.
Dramatic.
Nice. Nope.
Okay, I will mute myself too.
Synopsis. All right, can you mute yourself? Okay. There, you guys, it's a shit show. Just keep touching. That's what I tell my husband.
Just keep touching it. Eventually you'll get there.
Eventually something will happen. Just keep going. This episode takes place in Belvedere, Illinois. You said dramatic reading.
This feels traumatic.
I think we need to do more episodes with champagne.
Champagne? That's how they say in France. You guys, don't interrupt my dramatic reading. It's dramatic. I'm going to try it again. This episode takes place in Belvedere, Illinois. The clients are Judy, her father Franco, and her son Frankie. They've been experiencing being brushed up against. It's not the dogs. Clothing tugged. They hear whistling, and they see apparitions. Judy and son Frankie moved out of the house, but things are happening over there now. Steve learns about a large family that lived there throughout the 1900s that had a lot of loss, including 2 suicides. Amy sees some tall beings outside, an old woman who is heartbroken, a kind farmer, and an angelic child who is not what he seems. She also sees one of the suicides. Because things are happening at Judy's house too, Steve breaks the rules and contacts Amy during the investigation, asking her to check out Judy's house too. We see some really cool sketches, and the family confirms that's what they saw. Amy gives them some recommendations. They follow them, and the activity has decreased.
That was beautiful, but
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Anyways,
she's a nice person.
Okay, so the first thing I wrote, or second thing I wrote, is we got demons.
Anybody else think that Frankie was like a 12-year-old?
I mean, I didn't think that.
Well,
before they because she was talking about her
before they showed him.
Before they showed him.
Oh, I put him down at like older teen, young 20s.
Yeah, but
yeah,
exactly. I put in here. Definitely thought he was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. 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 So father Franco, son Frankie. She's Judy.
But it's always families being torn apart, marriages falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
There's always something that's
if you
dramatic.
Don't help us, our marriage will fall apart. Okay,
or someone's going to die.
But then then we have the whole, they go to Judy's house too. And then nothing's talked about at the reveal.
No.
She did a little bit.
Did she?
No.
Yes, she did.
She only talked about after Steve said, can they stay in this house?
Right, but she did talk about it. She did say, like, your house has a few things coming in and out, but
I'm
nothing.
sure she said a lot more and it was cut.
Sure she did.
Yeah, but it wasn't until after Steve was like, can they stay in their houses?
Yeah.
And it was like, yes, here's what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't until then. Because I kept saying to him, like, you made this big ordeal about, I'm breaking protocol and, I never do this, but I got to talk to Amy and have her go walk another house.
Mm-hmm.
And he has done that. He did that again another time.
Yeah, there's a couple others.
This might have been the first one.
Yep.
Because this is early on.
Season 2. But
Season
I remember one that I loved. One of them that touched me so much is when he did it when it was a child. And they had Amy go and talk to the little girl.
Yes. Oh my God, that was so sweet. We got to figure out which one that is.
She was
if anyone
so
knows which
sweet.
one that is, let us know and we'll cover that one. I know. Amy Allen, please come on the show.
Please come on our show. We'll be sober and
we'll be
talk to
best
you.
friends. Well, yeah, we can be sober if you want us to. So. We're usually sober. Just not when we get together.
It's true. I am usually sober.
Didn't sound very convincing, but
shut up.
It sounds like something an alcoholic says to their family.
Let's
guys, I'm totally sober.
I'm super sober. I do love Amy's sass in this episode when she was talking about the demon child.
Mm-hmm.
No, it wasn't the demon child. It was one of the entities told her not to come there.
Yeah.
And he was like,
oh,
he said he'd kill me if I came here. And I said, bring it on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck yeah, you did, Amy.
And then I wrote in my notes, this is why you're sick and had to leave the show. You shouldn't be telling people to bring it on.
But it was, Judy saw the guy who was a madman and so saw this guy, and Amy said, he was yelling at Amy and told her, I'm going to kill you. And she was like, oh yeah, bring it on. Then he becomes small and weak.
Yep. And I loved that. And I'm like,
right.
Oh, imagine you come at somebody and you're like, oh, bring it. Like she's all bark and no bite.
Yeah.
Yep.
As it was always are.
Gravelly voice, 30s, man in his 30s who was agitated. And then what I had just stated.
I love that. Yeah.
I thought that was pretty funny.
I did think when she saw the demon presenting as a child, and she said, I'm really scared. I'm like, it's not good when Amy gets scared.
No. Well, no, I know. She was really scared.
She was really scared.
She was like, I know, this is scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she talked about opening and seeing this angelic looking boy, but then she's like, this 5-year-old, because she was like 5, 6, 7, 5, and then she just stuck with 5 later on, and she's like, a 5-year-old is not this evil. How can a 5-year-old be this evil?
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen some movies where 5-year-olds are evil, but
I think she said what tipped her off.
3-year-olds are.
They're terrible. She said what tipped her off was his eyes.
Yes, his eyes were.
He didn't have eyes.
He didn't have eyes.
No eyes. He was blonde. He looks angelic, but he's dark.
Yeah.
He gets a bad feeling about him, and then there's something burrowing under the ground.
And I said, no, thank you, burrowing underground like a creepy mole.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, that would be why he had no eyes.
They are blind.
Oh.
Okay.
What else? Okay.
Oh my God. It reminds, I loved it when, this is my Spider-Man meme coming into play. When Amy is talking about the ghosts are surprised they're here. And it like reminded me of this, like, they're like, you're here. No, you're here. And they're like, who's here? That just made me think of this. Hey. It made me think of the Spider-Man meme because I'm like, who's who then? Like the ghosts are like, holy shit, you're in my space. And the living are like, no, you're in my space.
Yep.
Whose space are we
Whose
in?
space is it?
So I will say, speaking of some of that with the tall things, where Amy is like, oh my God, what are these things? And she actually said in the reveal, she goes, oh my God, but period, not exclamation point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I drew it. And she shows the sketch and it's the same thing. And Frankie goes, yep, I've seen those.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
To me, he goes, are they guardians or something?
Yes.
And she goes, yeah, but not in a good way.
Not in a good way.
And
I
to
said,
me,
eesh.
how many of you guys have watched American Horror Story? Because that picture looked like it would have been something out of Murder House.
It scares me.
The best
Murder House.
The best American Horror Story.
Yes, the best.
Is it scary?
Yes.
Honey.
Oh.
Anyways, but the image itself looked like it came out of
It reminded
Murder
me
House.
of a Jason mask.
Yes.
It reminded me of a Jason Voorhees mask.
and it had like little spiky things all over, like all over the arms and everything.
I didn't get that.
That was bizarre.
He was hairy, or
well, to me it was almost like
it looked like little spikes.
yes,
like lizard back type thing, or like a dragon or something.
Oh.
But
I would love a lizard.
Even writing down just like Frankie definitely has seen things he used to dream about a man in the yard.
Yes.
It was this tall thing. Amy sees these creepy things in the yard and in the woods. They're 7 feet tall. They're elementals, so she does have a voiceover,
which I love.
That was really good. Yeah, I noted that too.
Because that is something that always was in the earlier seasons where it explained what the hell is this.
I just mentioned it. So she goes basically, and this is what it is. Yeah.
And this was the best description that I'd heard.
Elementals are created by nature.
Yep. They were never human.
This one was never living. It never lived, so a priest could not get rid of it. Only a shaman could.
Yep.
And again, if we look at the way that different religions go, shaman is more connected in general. I'm not an expert. I am just where I've seen it is more connected to nature, and that aspect is not so much connected to a book of stories.
Right.
I wrote shaman. I know one. I do, and she's
I was one in the past life.
You guys, we interviewed a shaman. Her name was Leah, and
Leah.
she is amazing.
She is in Thailand right now.
She's currently traveling the world, and I do plan when she comes back at some point that I am going to do a animal totem with her.
She was so sweet.
Cool.
I know.
So
But
cool. We should have her back on the show after she comes back to tell us about her travels and stuff. Wouldn't that be fun? She was
so great idea. This is why you run the show.
And that's what I've been saying. That's what I say.
Turn her mic off for a while so that we have at least something to contribute
we at
to this.
least look smart.
Shut up.
I mean, I never do.
And none of us look smart. Well, no, Amy does sometimes.
Okay.
Ouch.
I did say, okay, so when they were talking about the history, and they were talking about the family who lost.
Oh, we're going to talk about the show now?
I figured we should for a minute.
That's probably a good idea. Just until we get off the tracks again.
This is what the people want. So they talked about Asika, and they said, quote, went anorexic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that. Can we not?
It was a weird way to put that.
It was a weird way. She stopped eating out of like depression
and
because
grief,
she lost how many kids? Her husband died.
Right.
2 of her kids died by suicide. Right. One of them died from quote unquote arm cancer. Another was an infant.
Oh, yeah, that's another thing we have to talk about.
Who died at 9 days of bronchitis. No wonder she's. I mean,
yeah.
It was 9 months.
I mean, what days, months? What time is a social construct?
Anyways, yeah. I mean, the anorexia. It was a depression.
I didn't like that.
It was depression.
Asika was 63. They say 60, that multiple times.
Yep, they said that 63 pounds, and to me, that's not necessarily.
It depends how big she was. I mean,
I understand. But she didn't look that tall in the pictures.
No, she didn't.
And I understand why they called it anorexia, but there is a difference between that and the depression that she was facing.
And anorexia is an illness, and that she
as
just
is depression. They're just two different. They're two different.
They're different disorders, and they sometimes go together.
Yes, and I don't want. Yes, thank you for pointing that out because I'm not like downplaying.
None of us have those things, so therefore we we all have like the mechanisms that pull us back out of it. So it's just a reminder of like, hey, oh yeah, those are classified as.
But she was not.
But they weren't for a long time.
No, and she wasn't anorexic, and that made me angry because she just, she was depressed. She lost her whole freaking family.
Right.
But you know what's the sad thing is this was 2012. Like we look back at it, so this would have been filmed probably in 2012 as well.
Yeah,
and we look back at it, and that just seems like the dark ages of things that we don't like. We know so much more nowadays because people are coming forward so much more nowadays.
Which is how it should be.
Even mental
health. Take the stigma away.
All right. Anyway, back to
Oh,
I did note that when Steve went to the library, he was digging through the archive.
I noticed there was a bit of a montage. There was like even a spinning thing. And I'm like, is this a 1980s like sports
microfiche?
Yes.
I was like, is this a 1980s like fucking microfiche?
Yep.
Yes.
So we
Sexy
did
Sue.
talk a little bit about the woman who Amy then saw as the crying woman, but it was also the family that settled there was in the 1899. Charles and his wife had 13 children. Edward was the oldest.
Eddie.
And yep. And Amy saw somebody and she's like, Eddie, he was a farmer.
Yep.
Like he
That was the
But she
kind
fucking
farmer.
nailed that.
100%.
I wanna say-
and Steve's face, like as she was reading that,
I
he was
know.
I want to say I was so pleased with that part of this episode
Me
because
too.
Steve was like,
I know.
oh my God, you're so good.
Steve was like, oh my God, are you
there was
kidding
a
me?
lot of
Before he was kind of a dick to her.
Yep.
Like he actually looked like he was super impressed.
Yep.
And that like warmed my heart a little bit until I remembered what he was like. Exactly.
But we did get to talk to somebody who was Steve spoke with Trevor, who was a descendant of
the
family.
The great, he was the
That's
Smith great grandfather.
Yes, so of the Smith family, and that is where we find out about the anorexia,
Yes.
Yeah.
aka depression, because of a lot of things,
and just giving up on life.
I mean,
like, that's what
he
she
did. Say
did.
she killed herself in a way, and I guess that's true.
That's true. I did like that he said that.
Yes,
it was suicide
in a
he
way.
said, in a way. And I'm
Yep.
like,
Yeah.
it was because
And-
she literally just
well, and it
stopped
was
eating.
Right.
And I think a big piece of this that is a little bit overlooked. So not only did they have 4 children that passed away young in life. So as Megan stated earlier, we had a 6-year-old who died from, quote, cancer of the arm, which is most likely sarcoma, which is a bone cancer that could be like kind of specialized there. So that's where, as they say, cancer of the arm, she probably had lesions or bumps or something that were coming up and it was showing in that spot.
Yeah.
So likely when you look it up, if you type in cancer of the arm, sarcoma is going to come up.
Okay.
Then they also had a girl 4 that died of pneumonia, a girl 9 that died of bronchitis, and a boy that was stillborn. Amy addresses this in the reveal, saying that it was likely this demon thing picking on the weak.
Yep.
And also the suicides of the family, which would have been the 2 brothers that died by suicide.
Yep.
and then
Were both from this family, and they were influenced by this demon-like thing. It took everything from this family.
didn't the great grandfather die by suicide too?
The grandmother did.
No,
No,
I did not get that
Okay.
with Charles or Edward.
maybe
It was
'Cause he
Thomas
pointed-
and Raymond.
They
'Cause-
did talk about one other person. I thought
Yeah,
it was
they
one of
talked
the other
about-
women. I thought it was one of the women.
'Cause
Maybe
I
I'm thinking
remember
about the anorexia.
he pointed the guy who Trevor, the great great grandson, pointed to his grandfather and said he was a hardworking man.
Yeah, yeah.
Did he not die by suicide?
No,
Well,
that
let
was Eddie.
Oh, okay.
So
I
his
misunderstood.
grandfather was Edward,
Okay.
or great grandfather, I should say.
Yes.
His grandfather was the youngest brother
Okay,
of
so
Raymond and Thomas. So
Yeah.
Thomas was the one who was 24 years old. They kind of bypass him because I don't think he's one of the spirits that's
No.
there.
Is he the
Raymond
one-
is the spirit that's there.
Is he the one that killed himself first?
Yes, Thomas
Yes.
is the one who died by suicide in 1939 after an argument and breaking up with his girlfriend.
Right. Yeah.
And
Raymond.
he shot himself in the heart with a 22
Yes.
Yeah, in the kitchen.
in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And then later on, Raymond,
Copied
seemingly
him.
out of nowhere in 1961, used the same gun and shot himself in the same manner.
But he didn't
However,
die.
he didn't die.
So
And
he hung himself.
correct, he hung himself, and that's where I was like,
That whole
having the
thing.
rope in the barn, and then we did
I'm
the
like,
reveal
was that
in the
rope
barn.
really there?
That
I
I
said-
put that down as well. I was like,
I said, why are they doing the reveal in a barn?
but having the
Just
rope.
like the one other one we did where
Yeah.
they did that in barn for no reason that I
No
could tell.
reason.
But
I put that down as was
That's
the rope
tacky.
actually
The
there,
rope-
or did they put it there?
no, I think they must have put it there because even if it was there, Matt or whoever's actually doing the clearing would have pulled it down.
Yeah.
Because Amy looks up.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean,
She doesn't actually see a rope. She sees a rope in her mind's
In her
eye.
mind.
She doesn't actually see a rope,
Yep.
but we see it. So I think they put it
Yeah.
up there
And
afterwards
it's
or got stock
because
footage
it
of a rope
wasn't-
hanging from the top of a barn.
And
Who
if you've
fucking
ever
knows?
been in an old barn, there are lots of ropes and there
Sure.
are lots of things there. So that's where it's like, was this really there, or was this put there?
I think it was put there.
Was it a noose?
No, it was not in a noose.
Okay.
It was
It was
frayed at the end. It was a
Yeah,
thick
it was-
rope that was,
Yeah.
which the truthfully, the style of rope was too thick to have been used for something like that. It was if you almost like 2 to 3 inches across in diameter.
Okay, so it's possible it was there, I guess, for some other reason, like to
But
place
you
stuff
should have
up.
noticed and taken it
in those
down.
barns. You're hauling hay. You're putting
That's
bales
what I
of
do
hay.
in barns.
Barns did keep the square bales of hay up in the upper loft.
Yeah.
A lot of farm kids have
That's why they
spent
call
years.
it a roll in the hay. Idioms.
Roll it.
We're just
Remember,
gonna-
Young Frankenstein?
Yes.
No.
Roll in the hay.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I don't.
Oh, it's such a good movie.
Oh, I love Young Frankenstein.
Okay.
But yeah, so there was it's just a lot of really interesting stuff, and Amy connects to that family and says that this demon thing caused a
Is
lot
bad.
of the
Yeah.
Yeah.
She did
issues.
say it caused the suicides. She
Yeah.
said it influenced them.
it
and
took
then
the children.
Yeah.
Yeah,
'cause
the
they were
babies
weak.
who all died.
And then Judy talked about how her son was pulling away from her.
Yes.
And that's why they moved. And I'm like, you probably saved
all
his
of a
life.
sudden that came up in the
In the reveal.
but that wasn't earlier on in the episode.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And who knows? Maybe it was.
Yes.
Maybe it was discussed earlier and it just was
I
cut.
did write when Franco saw the baby who died prematurely. That got me.
Oh
When
my
he's-
God. When
he was describing like a little baby moving
like a
around.
white mist
cloud.
that was like a little baby
Yep.
that then formed and looked like a
preemie.
baby, a preemie. Yeah, he said that. And then when Amy talked about that, and then and he was like, "Oh, that's
But
what
you know
I
what?
saw."
Explains it.
Amy, I said Amy didn't like his explanation of it.
Oh,
She was kind of like, she's pulling her like kind of pulling her face back, like what, like and I don't know, is that a like you really saw that or that's interesting that's the connection you made.
well, and also keep in mind after talking to Laura last week,
Mhm.
we know that they splice in
They jinx.
reactions and
Yep.
stuff from people to
Yep.
tell the story.
Yep.
She flat
the
out
story they want.
exactly. She
Not
flat
the
out
story
said
that's being told.
that you are that they the production team or director, whoever it is, tells the clients to look at each other and count to 20.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
But you're
and
supposed
move
to
your
mouth
arms
it.
around.
Yeah.
21
So
because you get the
Oh,
motion of 21.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
and then they splice in
Yep.
Sayings.
other words.
And we've
Because we commented that it sounded like Steve. It was like a voiceover.
weird voiceover. Yeah.
And that's when she
Yep.
said, "Well, yeah, they have us count to 20 and wave our arms around."
Yep.
And then they put
we've
in
heard
whatever
that
they
from
want
other from
Yeah.
previous clients
Interviewers,
who have
yeah.
said, yeah, they make us sit there and like react to different things,
Yeah.
even though we're
Oh,
not
like
reacting
I
to
remember
something.
Randy saying that when they put a reaction that he made on his face into something else, he's like, I didn't make that face
Yeah, I
when
think-
that happened. I made
was
that
it,
face when they said something different.
Donna too had that same kind of thing.
Yeah, they were
but
just
yeah.
making a mayonnaise commercial with Donnellan.
Yep. And
What?
I thought it was
Remember,
just
Donnellan? She said that they were when the neighborhood. They had all the trucks and stuff in the neighborhood, and she was instructed by the crew to tell everybody that they were doing a mayonnaise commercial.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Yep.
We're recording a mayonnaise commercial.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think like I said, Amy just seemed to have some reactions that just seemed like, really, is that it? But then we also see Steve do the like, you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like when she said that she saw a kind farmer, Ed or Eddie.
And he was like,
You kidding me?
yeah.
And then
She goes, "Yep, just kidding. His name was George." Like, come on.
but I will say this is earlier episode. We're seeing Steve look at the picture and go, wow, tell me what you guys think.
Yes,
But the tone that he said it in
he
was
still says
very leading.
yes. And I will say that I can see the resemblance. You know,
Oh, I thought it was spot
the
on.
lady?
yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought
I
it
thought it was
was-
spot on too.
I thought it was like copy paste. I mean, honestly, the only thing for me that was different was her hair from the picture.
Yeah.
But other than that, the nose, the mouth, the eyes, everything.
I
was
had to
like,
keep reminding myself in that is that Amy said she kept changing ages
Mhm.
Yes.
because she was flashing back.
Yeah.
So Amy was seeing that, but she was also seeing her when she was in her depressive state
Yeah.
of being very thin compared to the picture that we see, which is more round cheeked.
Mhm.
Right.
So yes, I I did not see it as view. I thought it was very compelling, like very much so like the other image.
Yeah.
But we also don't get a long period of time where we're seeing them side by side.
Yeah.
Whereas some of the other ones we've seen and we're like, the fuck is that?
Yeah. What's that cartoon caricature you just drew?
wrote the sketch of the mom is spot on because honestly it was.
And it was very good art.
It was
very well done. And
which makes me angry that they don't let the artist keep it or the people keep it. Like that makes me mad.
It was interesting to read. Like I started looking at Reddit and just to see how people were feeling about Dead Files a little bit on it. And somebody was like, why didn't they just hire somebody who's on every episode? I'm like, because then they'd have to pay them.
Yeah.
True. They'd be on staff.
That is 100%.
And they'd have to pay for their travel.
Yeah.
All they have to do for these ones is maybe $1,000,
$400 or whatever.
Whatever it is paying for your hours and time at that point. We are not paying you to be on salary.
Right. And like you said, travel, hotel.
Well, and also, I mean, I'm playing devil's advocate here on the part of the Dead Files production.
Nice.
I know.
But maybe somebody like my husband would watch this and go, oh, they have the same sketch artist every time. Well, then they obviously tell the sketch artist
tell them
what to draw.
Yeah, I could see that.
Honestly, when I was looking at a couple of things, I saw somebody who wrote an article after the Lizzie Borden one that they did. And they're like, they're the biggest frauds. They're so fake.
The Lizzie Borden people?
It wasn't the Lizzie Borden person, but it was somebody who's done a lot of research on Lizzie Borden. They were saying that the Dead Files is so fake because well, she goes in after they've already talked about everything. So obviously, like, there's no way that she says poison and they're talking about poison. And like,
she goes in before.
Yes,
it even shows like he's interviewing the people, and then it flashes across the screen like 18 hours earlier, 12 hours earlier.
Actually, it's the other way around.
It's the other way around that we've heard.
That they do it that way.
They do it that way.
They show Amy coming out,
goes in
opening,
afterwards.
And then it says 19 hours earlier, and it shows Steve talking to the people, and I'm like,
because
that's backwards. That's not how it happens. All the clients have told us it's the other way around.
They go in and they cover everything.
Yeah,
at least in the earlier episodes. Then they would have to go in and uncover it for recording.
Yeah.
So of course they're just flipping it. However, at the same point, they're also doing hours and hours of things. So if Steve mentions poison at some point and Amy comes up with, or Cindy comes up with poison at some point, it's not like it's pinpointed that that's exactly what they're going to say.
Right.
So I can understand where this person was coming from, but they're like, oh, they're saying they uncovered a picture of Lizzie that's never been seen before. And that's just her at an old age. And I've seen that picture. And it's like, maybe you're too invested in this
maybe get a new hobby
to be making this, but it also sounds like you're obsessed with Lizzie. And what I know we're going into that episode a little bit, but that episode was really interesting because I'm pretty sure Amy was like, it wasn't her.
Yeah.
Right. And then when she found that Ouija board under the couch.
Yes.
That was so creepy to me.
She actually said, my spirit guide just told me to move the couch. And so Matt helped her move the couch. And that Ouija board was underneath.
I'm sure somebody was like, oh, they told her they planned
that
to get there.
Creeped me out when she saw that Ouija board.
But
she was like,
scary.
Those are stories for another day.
Hell no. The no board, as Zoe calls it.
I don't like it.
Did you see that?
I used to play with it as a little kid.
I don't know if it's a real thing or if it's somebody making up like an ad for on Amazon, but they had like a Bible one that you can connect to God.
Oh, jeez.
and they're like, I saw it in the other podcast group one we look at, and it was like, so isn't this just a Ouija board but for Bible verses?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like,
ridiculous.
No.
Ridiculous.
As we were looking to start wrapping up and in the reveal, we noted earlier that I put in here, nothing was said about the other house until Steve says, I'm turning it over to Amy to tell us, and Amy tells him,
gotta go.
Yep. Amy tells him that they need to bring in a holy man to do a blessing and sealing for the house, both houses.
Yep.
That
she did say Judy's house would be easier to cleanse.
Yes, because it's just people walking through.
Yeah, there's nobody of note there. I mean, they're talked about in the episode.
Yeah, they're just coming through.
Wasn't the burrowing thing? Didn't that come to the other house? One of the spirits went to the other house.
She said, She said the burrowing thing is very powerful because it's a demon. It can go anywhere.
But for the spirits in general, the other things there, a blessing and sealing would do this. Yeah. But the elemental is tied to the other property. Yeah. So even though it could go to other places, that's its home territory, basically. And it said the property needs the same thing, plus a shaman for the elementals that seals the property so they don't come back. Mm-hmm. That's when we get the voiceover about what an elemental is and why it needs a shaman. And then Steve goes, well, what if they don't do it? And it was like, well, it would be bad and it would continue.
Yeah.
Steve, and at the same time, if they do get all of these things, if they get the shaman and the holy man or the priest, things will go well. Mm-hmm. And this is because it's such an early episode. I don't know if you guys caught on to or you ladies caught on to the like almost desperation in both Amy and Steve's voices as they were like,
are you going to do
please
this?
tell me you're going to promise me that you'll have this done. Please tell me you're going to do this.
He says to Franco, you look like you're dubious and you're maybe not going to do this. And the guy Franco goes, no, I know somebody who is a shaman. Mm-hmm. I've heard these stories before. We're going to do this.
And he had somebody he called them Indian, but an indigenous person who had evil spirits, and a shaman came and removed the evil spirits.
So that's nice that he had that connection because obviously that he didn't use that person.
And he was,
that's why he was almost like smirking, like, but I've heard I know what to do. I need to do this.
Yep.
And then Amy has a voiceover, and then it shows her in the studio basically and says, I witnessed exactly what Frankie saw, but that is hard for a young man to admit.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, being again that it was 2012, it is a great call up because I think that it is harder, especially for teenage to young 20s men to, be like, yeah, that was real or not.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He'd probably get teased.
And what we see at the end is that both houses have been blessed, not sealed, just blessed, and the activity has decreased.
Yeah. Yeah, this was a really good one.
I would like to talk to this family, guys. If you're out there, family in this episode,
Judy,
I think it would be
Frankie,
great.
Franco.
Judy, Frankie, Franco, would love to get some further. I mean, it's been what 10 12?
Well, it's been 11 years because earlier I said 13 and I was like, I don't know how I got 13.
So I'm going to split the difference and go 12.
Okay.
It's been a long time and it would be nice to know what's going on with people and if they're still in the same house.
Yeah.
Or if they've moved some, because I got the impression they all have abilities, right?
Right.
Because they can all see stuff that most, like Steve can't see and Matt can't see. So they all have at least some sort of abilities. And it would be interesting. Like one thing I loved about Laura is when Amy said, "Oh, there's a woman here." Wink, wink. She's looking right at her, like it's you.
A dark-haired woman.
You.
A dark-haired living woman. It's like,
and Amy and Laura's like, I knew it was me. I knew it was me.
It was me.
And then when we talked to her, she's like, I knew something was going on.
The moment I laid eyes on Amy,
yes, she said they passed each other in the hall, and Amy gave her a look, and I was like, okay, yeah. So but I love that Laura leaned into that, and now she's a medium, and she does readings for people.
And she said she doesn't charge.
No, she does it all for free because it's a gift.
Yeah,
I keep waiting for one of these people who to be on there to be like, I've got somebody who's just being annoying in my ear that tells me that I need to tell you guys these things.
Yeah.
Like, come on, family, let's get this together.
Come on, Dad. Next time we talk to a medium, Dad, I want you to tell them to say something.
Let's go, Alan.
Come on, Alan.
Well, he's already been here.
I know.
I think he has too.
I think he has. I think he's always here with us.
I think he's probably here.
He's just sitting over there
critiquing us.
He's like Jenny said, he's very happy that you're doing this show because my dad was an old broadcaster,
right?
Too, and she said he's really happy you're doing the show, and he said, "What took you so long?"
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm a day late, dollar short for everything. It takes me a while to figure shit out.
We're trying our best over here. All right, we should probably.
All right, let's finish it up. All right. Oh yeah, you're the and her.
She's trying to grab the papers
I know,
and she steals them from me.
Sorry,
rude.
I was looking to see what we were doing next.
If you stayed this long, thank you.
Why?
And
There
God
might be
bless you because,
This has been a shit show.
I hope you had champagne.
We're
as well.
all tipsy, and I say
I
we
told
all,
you
and I mean
at
me.
the beginning.
You guys,
to have a French
limoncello
75.
and sparkling
Are you
wine
tipsy?
is fantastic. Yes.
Are you?
No,
Okay.
No?
Well, I'm tipsy.
just give me a bottle with a straw. All right.
That counts as one glass.
Yeah, it's a glass bottle.
Yeah.
It's one glass.
It's
One glass.
It's one serving. If you drink it all at once, it's
Yes.
one serving. Just saying.
Everyone, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you,
us
everybody.
today. And we really appreciate you being with us for however many episodes you've been. And hopefully it's been 100.
Hopefully it's been 100.
If you haven't listened to them all, go on back and listen to them.
And you can hear us in our baby podcasting days when we had no idea what we were doing.
Exactly.
We still don't, but we're a little bit more loosey-goosey about
We
it.
have nicer microphones now.
They have different colors.
Yes. Next week, we'll be covering most likely a Dead Files episode. We don't know yet.
Mm-mm.
So it's probably a Dead Files unless one of our interviews comes through for somebody else to come and join us,
Yes.
which would be awesome.
That'd be awesome.
But we're not sure just yet. So tune in next week and find out.
We know as much as you do, which
That's right.
is scary.
That's right.
But thank you for listening, everybody. We can't wait to see you or talk to you next week. Bye.
Later.
Oh my God, I have to pee so bad. Thank you for listening to the Activity Continues podcast. We really appreciate you giving us your ears for a bit. Please reach out if you have a spooky story you'd like us to share on the show. We can be reached at theactivitycontinues@gmail.com or through our website or any of our socials. Links are all in the description of the show. Please feel free to drop us a note and say hi. And join us next time when the activity continues. The Activity Continues is produced by me, Amy, at Collected Sounds Media and is part of the independent Collected Sounds podcast network. We are also proud members of the Boo Pod network of super cool podcasts. Nailed it.